Doubtless it carried on the cold slide of water. She and Owen had that water between them, steadily fast, sliding between them to the edge, only a narrow divide they could have taken hands across. She turned from facing the cave to facing him and saw that he was watching her very closely. They were high up. They might have relaxed side by side, looking back down the way they had come, all the way down to where the path went into the dark foliage and dived as a stream bed, dry or damp or flowing steeply back into the river-level town. Instead, he stood staring at her, waiting, and Lou understood they had not yet arrived. The cave was astonishing in its spread. The water hurrying out of it was lucid and beautiful. The climb had been a joy, but still they were only on a threshold. "Listen," he said. Then she listened to what she had been hearing without knowing for some minutes, or perhaps for years. The sound of the cave, audible outside in the sunlight, but coming from far, far in, from inside, in the immeasurable bulk of limestone behind and beyond the cave, from deep in there. "That's what I heard when I came here on my own," he said. "In a way, I've been hearkening for it ever since, and I wanted you to hear it, and myself to hear it again now with you." Then he reached across, handed her over the fast, shallow stream to his side, and led her in, under the quite abruptly down-sloping roof of the cave, in till they stooped, in till they crouched, and where they could go no further, in the angle of roof and floor, there at the slit, the flat aperture where the water emerged, they made themselves small and sat. Though you could hear nothing else, the water behind the slit was not deafening, not at all. Its force lay in the certainty that its origins were remote. When you see a star, you know that its light has travelled years to your eyes. Similarly, this noise to their ears, from remote space and time. So the commotion they could hear was the long-after sound, carrying in it the remembered horror of the making. The water, that, far back, had been in there at the making, slid out in absolute silence, shallow, clear, very fast, and bubbles rode on it, clear domes, travelled out of a zone of utter darkness into the cave light on a sliding fast surface, and very soon, silently, popped, and the air in them joined the air that Owen and Lou, bowed over them, watching intently, breathed. In the way that human beings are bound to, Lou was thinking, what is this like? And ideas came to mind, rough gestures towards the thing itself, like a heart and a pulse, though not of any beast she knew, like an engine, the thrumming of a steady but varied working, like an oven, a furnace, if you could think of its cold as heat. But it was easier to compare this thing, whose utterance was close and that was really of the earth, to phenomena she would never be anywhere near and was at liberty merely to imagine. The background noise of space, for example, the aural context of all the galactic debris still dispersing. So Lou spun ideas, as any human would, to try to say what the sound of the cave was like. But in the midst of her ideas, despite their interference, she knew, with a thrill of horror, that what she was listening to, though nameless, was familiar. So reading a poem, often what dawns on you is a thing you knew already, but had forgotten or didn't know well enough, and now the lines with a vengeance will remind you and make you know it this time, close and true. Owen looked mesmerised, entranced, as though his first and remembered deep impression was deepening further now and more than he could bear. Lou touched his arm and he started. She pointed towards the daylight at the mouth of the cave, and after a little moment, which seemed not a reluctance but a coming to, he nodded and followed her. They went out to the brink and sat there, looking over the open land, still sunny, down to where the little town must be. "What did you do when you came here last time?" Lou asked, "all those years ago." "I ran away," said Owen. "I wanted to sleep in the cave. I had ideas of that sort. But as soon as I laid down there, with only that noise behind that slit, I couldn't bear it, so I decamped." Lou said nothing. After a while, Owen said, "I was going to ask what you would like to do. If we left now, we could be back in town before dark and perhaps find a train or a bus." "Is that what you want?" Lou asked. If you were here on your own again, what would you do? I don't think I'd be here on my own, said Owen, but if I were, I think I should try to stay. Then we'll stay, said Lou. Where they sat, the water toppling over made quite a loud and cheerful noise, but behind them, as they watched the shadow extending slowly over the open land towards their heights, the noise inside the cave became, if not louder, certainly more insistent. Why did you want to listen to it again? Lou asked. Because, Owen answered, I've often, and in some periods constantly, wanted to live as though I could always hear that cave. I don't want to live forgetting there's a noise like that. I mean, in some ways it isn't so very mysterious. Somewhere inside there must be a waterfall, quite a big one. Very beautiful, no doubt, if things are beautiful that nobody can see. And what we can hear is the shoot, the impact, the milling, the overflowing of water through tunnels till it finds that slit, all magnified, echoing, distorted. After heavy rain it would sound different. After no rain, different again. But essentially the same for all its variations, and always strange. Like the flight of the stuff of the universe, you might grasp the principle, but the act of it, the working out, is infinitely strange. But I can talk like this because we are sitting here together, facing away, and the sunlight will last a while longer. Up close in the dark, when I was a boy, I understood nothing at all. I heard the noise, only that. And it would be the same today, I guess, up close in there on my own. I thought we'd sleep in the mouth, said Lou, nearer the open air. I thought the same, said Owen. Still it will be cold and loud.